Imagine walking through your town and you see it. Empty storefront after empty storefront. Those big glass windows, maybe once buzzing with customers, now they're just gathering dust. It's a familiar sight in so many places, isn't it?
It really is.
All thanks to, well, the relentless rise of e-commerce and some pretty big shifts in how we all shop.
Yeah.
But what if those empty spaces weren't just lost causes? What if they could become something, I don't know, dynamic, something exciting, maybe temporary creative marketplaces? We're talking about pop-up incubators.
That's right. The core business idea we're really digging into today is all about transforming those abandoned retail spaces, could be big, could be small, into short-term pop-up hubs, but specifically designed for, local talent to shine.
Okay.
And what's crucial here, and this is the incubator part, is that these aren't just places to sell things. They're meant to be low-risk environments for new businesses to, test their concepts, connect with actual customers, and really grow.
And what our sources seem to consistently highlight is why this concept stands out so much. I think what even called it a gold mine.
Right.
It's one of those rare things that genuinely creates a win-win-win scenario. I mean, think about it. You've got landlords who are desperate to fill those spaces, right? They get some income, maybe some community buzz, even if it's just for a short term.
Vital income, yeah.
And they have the artisans and the small business owners. They crave that physical retail exposure for their amazing stuff, but they often just can't afford those long, expensive leases.
The barrier's too high otherwise.
Exactly. And then there's us, the consumers. We get to find truly unique, handmade, local products, the kind of things you just don't stumble upon online.
What's fascinating, I think, is how all these different needs sort of converge into this one powerful solution. So our mission for this deep dive is really to explore exactly how this concept works in practice, why it feels so incredibly timely right now, and the kind of impact it can have maybe going far beyond just simple commerce.
Okay, so how does someone actually, bring this vision to life? Our source material details a pretty clear path, starting with maybe the trickiest part. Those landlord negotiations. What are some of the key strategies mentioned there?
Precisely. And what's often overlooked, I think, in that initial step is really understanding the landlord's specific pain points, because that's where the real negotiation leverage comes from.
Makes sense.
Our sources point out that landlords are increasingly willing to consider things like percentage leases,
Okay.
which means, they take a small base rent plus a cut of the sales. This drastically lowers the barrier for entry for the pop-ups compared to those traditional fixed leases.
Yeah.
It's a much more flexible approach, a real game changer, actually.
That is clever. A good way to align interests.
Yeah.
So, okay, once you have the space secured, maybe the art of this business really kicks in with curating the talent, right?
Yeah.
What kind of makers are we actually looking for?
Yeah, the key words are diversity and quality. I mean, think about the incredible range of local talent that's out there. Maybe a jewelry designer ready to launch their first collection, or that amazing craft brewer you found at a farmer's market.
Oh, yeah.
Visual artists, boutique food producers, maybe even people making cool, eco-friendly home goods. You're basically building a roster of individuals who are ready to step out of their workshops and into a physical retail environment, and giving them that low-risk platform to really hone their skills. That's the heart of the incubator idea.
Right. And your role then as the organizer of these pop-up incubators, you're sort of the conductor of this whole creative orchestra.
That's a good way to put it.
You manage the space, you organize events to draw people in, handle the marketing, which is crucial, and you provide that platform for these entrepreneurs to test the retail waters without, all that scary upfront cost.
And importantly, this isn't about setting up something permanent. These pop-up shops, they can last anywhere from just a weekend to maybe a few months.
It's flexible.
Very. And the beauty is you rotate the artisans regularly. This keeps the whole experience fresh, it keeps it exciting for visitors coming back, and it gives more people a chance to participate.
So that rotation is key, not just for freshness, but does our material suggest it also helps maybe distribute the risk for the organizers themselves?
Oh, absolutely. By rotating, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket with just one or two vendors, right?
Right.
And it lets you continuously bring in newness, which, keeps the buzz alive. It's almost like a mini festival where the lineup is always changing.
I like that analogy. Okay, so for someone listening who's inspired by this, what are the absolute foundational bits they'd need to put in place to actually get started?
Our sources suggest a few key things, really. First, obviously, you need to connect with landlords or maybe commercial real estate agents who have those vacant properties. That's your potential inventory.
Yeah.
Second, And just as important, you need to reach out to the local artisan communities. Social media is great for this. Craft fairs, local maker groups. It's really about building those authentic relationships.
Right. Personal connection.
Definitely. And then the practical stuff. You need to set up simple legal agreements covering space use, any fees, and of course, how the sales are handled.
And critically, we mentioned it before, but the marketing aspect. You can't overlook that. Driving foot traffic seems heavily reliant on some savvy marketing. What specific strategies do our sources highlight for really getting the word out?
You're spot on. Marketing is huge. Beyond just, general local press or putting things on Instagram, the sources really emphasize leveraging hyper-local influencer marketing.
Interesting. So like local bloggers.
Exactly. Partnering with popular local bloggers or maybe community groups who already have these engaged audiences, people interested in unique local finds. And for an extra draw, things like offering workshops or tastings or maybe meet the maker events. Those are invaluable because they create an experience, not just a transaction. And that's what today's consumer seems to really crave.
That's a fantastic point about experiences, which brings us to a really crucial question. Why is this concept so timely right now? I mean, post-pandemic, people seem to crave experiences, and there's this huge surge in wanting to support local businesses. How specifically does this model address those shifts?
Well, it taps directly into that desire for authenticity and connection. Our sources show that consumers are increasingly prioritizing unique local products with a story over just generic, mass-produced stuff they can click and buy online.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
One study even suggested something like a 30% increase in foot traffic for areas that host regular, well-curated pop-ups. Plus, the whole retail world is kind of shifting away from permanent, monolithic stores towards more flexible, experiential spaces. So this model isn't just, surviving. It seems to be thriving by actually anticipating these trends.
That is a huge shift. Are our sources suggesting this model can genuinely compete with the sort of sheer convenience of online shopping? Or is it really targeting a completely different consumer need?
I think it's less about direct competition, really, and more about offering something that online just can't replicate.
Like what?
Like tactile experiences, actually touching the product, direct interaction with the makers themselves, and that immediate gratification of discovering something unique right there, it fills a void, I think, for consumers who want to connect with their community and support local talent in a really meaningful way.
Yeah.
And what's even more interesting is that a lot of cities seem to be already on board with this kind of revitalization effort. They often have grants or specific incentives for small business support and neighborhood revitalization. So a project like this could be a perfect alignment with existing community goals.
Okay, so that makes sense from a community angle. But turning to the business side, how do you actually monetize this as the organizer?
Yeah.
What are the key revenue streams?
The models mentioned are pretty straightforward, actually. You can charge the artisans a rental fee for their spot, or you could take a percentage of their sales, or maybe a combination of both.
Which do the sources lean towards?
They seem to lean towards a combination, partly because it shares the risk and the reward between the organizer and the artisan.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could also sell maybe advertising or sponsorship space within the pop-up itself, almost like you said, like a mini festival.
Exactly. Or you could organize ticketed workshops or special events, which adds another revenue stream and potentially draws even more people in.
Maybe even partner with local food trucks or cafes nearby and take a small cut. Lots of possibilities.
And there's this really exciting bonus idea our sources mention, the potential to build a branded network of these pop-up incubators, creating a recognizable community marketplace brand that could maybe expand from city to city, amplifying the whole impact.
Wow, scaling it up.
Yeah. What this deep dive has really shown, I think, is a truly powerful combination. It's clearly more than just a way to make money. It's really about sparking local creativity, fostering genuine community connection, and profoundly revitalizing these forgotten urban spaces.
Exactly. This whole business idea,
Excellent.
it feels so creative, it looks scalable, and it's just deeply meaningful, isn't it? You have the potential to make money, sure, but you're also supporting incredible local talent. And you're literally breathing new life back into parts of your town.
It's got layers to it.
It really does.
And maybe looking beyond the immediate benefits, perhaps here's a final thought for you to consider. If we connect this to the bigger picture, what empty space in your own community could potentially be revitalized like this? And maybe more importantly, what unique local talent is just waiting there for a platform to shine?